Hello everyone and welcome to In the Mist. Analia Raven here, and I am at the back of my property and enjoying this wonderful, beautiful May day. And obviously the blood moon eclipse was last night, and I think it's today too. I'm not really sure about that. I know I'm a horrible, horrible witch, but what can I say? So here I am scoping out locations for my witchy space outside. I think it's really important to have a witchy space outside because witches and most pagan traditions love to worship nature or work with nature or land spirits. And I have this great and gorgeous land out here to work with and all of its spirits inhabitants. So I'm just out here getting to know my land and the land that I've moved into and the spirits that have already resided here, and trying to make myself approachable, I suppose, for spirits, because they can be shy. Land spirits can be shy, especially if you're new to the place. So I'm just want to leave offerings and make myself known and open the door to work with the land spirits here that we live on. Or not live on, because you can't live, I guess you can live on. Earth is a spirit itself, so, and we live on Earth, and that's, anyway, I digress. So this is one of my spaces that I am hoping to work with, and I already have a circle laid out, and it seems to be holding up pretty well. It's just of sticks and natural materials, and I still have a lot of work to do, such as taking out an old barbed wire fence that was here for years. There's a post still left, and I know there's some other barbed wire fences here that's been here since we moved in. That's been, well, the ground eroded and it's falling away, and so I'm hoping to get that out soon, and hoping that would also make the land spirits happy, because I don't think they want metal in their land. I don't know, I just get the vibe where it's just natural is best, you know? But anyway, speaking of spirits, witches' familiars is the thing that I also want to talk about today. I want to talk about how in certain traditions of witchcraft, witches will typically work with different familiar spirits, and that could be in the form of different types of animals, it could be different types of entities, it could really be any type of spirit. It can be created by the witch, like as a thought form, to be their familiar spirit. And what a familiar is a spirit or entity that works on behalf of the witch. So for example, if I wanted to cast a spell for a certain something, like, let's just go for, I don't want to say money, because I wouldn't ask familiar to do that. Like, I want to grow in my magical knowledge. I want to cast a spell to grow in my magical knowledge. And so I would ask my familiar to open the doorway to make it easier for me to gain that knowledge, or open the doorways within myself, within my mind, to make it easier for me to gain that knowledge. Because animals, even like the ones that aren't familiar spirits or considered familiars to a witch, animals are on a different playing field when it comes to the spiritual realms. They have heightened senses, and not only physically, but I feel like that animals have a higher sense of knowing the natural world and supernatural world around us. We see a lot of different examples when it comes to looking for ghosts or spirits of people that are still roaming this world. A cat or a dog will sense a presence that the human cannot see or even sometimes feel if they're not sensitive to those entities. But an animal can, and they will let you know. And so also familiar spirits could be a good guardian for the witch and let them know that there's an entity here that may mean you harm, or there's a presence or a force here that may mean you harm. And they will give you an alert, and then you can do protection spells, and they can also aid you in those protection spells. So really, working with different types of familiar spirits is a benefit to to witches, and depending on what tradition you follow, to my tradition, I feel like working with different types of animal spirits or entities can be a benefit and a way to grow in your path, because you're learning from something that is on the higher level of consciousness than you are, because we don't know everything, and it's always best to outsource and get to know what others' point of view looks like, and I believe that animals definitely do. So that's all I wanted to come on here and say, is talk a little tiny bit about that. I'm hoping to get more in depth in the history of familiars, like with like Salem witch trial familiars type things, you know, where the familiars were associated with the devil and stuff like that. I want to get more in depth with those types of familiar spirits and familiar spirits across the globe, and what different countries view as familiars. Now, I'm not going to say that I'm an expert in that. I just want to like touch on the basics of the different cultures' beliefs on familiar spirits, or whatever they would call a spirit aid to a practitioner, if they have one. I want to learn that myself, and I would love to share my knowledge that I have gained through research with you. But that part will be basic. The part that will be more in depth will be my personal path and my personal beliefs on what I use familiars for. So just that little disclaimer there. Not an expert and not claiming to be an expert, but just sharing my tradition and my beliefs, and just learning more about others' beliefs and respecting the traditions of others as well, and sating my curiosity on if other people in different cultures or belief systems use familiar spirits, and how they use them, and what do they even call them if not familiars. So that's that, and this is the back of my property and the current state of the witchy space that I'm planning to use. And I'm even allowing an entryway to go down to this creek here. It's like a little babbling creek, so I can go down and get like fresh running water for different types of magical things I'm going to be planning. And also, look, the background is great. I could use that space as well if I wanted. So thank you for listening, and I will see you soon in the mist. Analia Raven. Don't forget to like and subscribe.